are going on mute.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Give everybody another minute to settle in, and then we'll kick things off. Just another 30 seconds. Thanks for joining, everybody. Yep. Okay, we will get started with our quarterly product release webinar placed on March 12th with some one more subsequent release coming in April, which we'll touch on. Let's get into it. Okay, it's just a forward-looking statement in terms of what we might say might be impacted by circumstances outside our control. All right. My name is Christopher Allen. I'm the Vice President of Product Marketing here at Q4, and I'm joined by Simone, Marius, and Shuai. Each of them lead components of our platform and web offerings, along with earnings. They'll each provide further introductions as they get to their own sections. So, with that, and before I dive into the specifics of the release, I want to take a moment to zoom out. If you look back at our journey at Q4 since really June of 2024, we've been on a deliberate mission, right? We've moved past the era of AI as a buzzword and into the era of AI as an essential teammate. Many of you have seen the rollout of our AI-powered Q4 platform, the launch of Q, right, the industry's first IRO agent, and looking back even earlier to the earnings copilot application, right, which was an AI application purpose-built for drafting earnings scripts. But we know that in the whirlwind of earnings cycles, it's kind of easy to miss just how much power you now as Q4 customers have at your fingertips. So over the last 9 months, we've really been shifting the foundation of the Q4 platform, right? Moving from a system where you've typically kind of input data to a system that now provides you intelligence. And today's session is about ensuring you aren't just aware of these tools, but that you're equipped to lead with them. Our Q1 release, I think, is kind of defined by two parallel themes, right? Vision and confidence. On the vision side, we're addressing a seismic shift in how investors find you. And we've all seen it, right? Investors are moving away from traditional search bars toward answer engines like GPT or Perplexity or Google's AI overviews. And the reality is, if AI doesn't see your data correctly, your company might as well be invisible to a new generation of either analysts or retail investors. And that's why we're thrilled to introduce answer engine optimization for our IR web products. Q4 is really the first in the industry to tackle this head on. And we aren't just building websites anymore, right? We're optimizing your digital footprint so that when an AI is asked about your investment thesis, the answer it gives is accurate, credible, and discoverable. And it becomes your source of truth to control your narrative. We also know that kind of vision really doesn't matter if your core execution isn't bulletproof. And that kind of brings us to our second theme, which is confidence. And, one of the ways we're solving that is by, we know one of the bigger pain points in the earnings process is the conference call. And we're officially unveiling our digital conference calling solution by moving away from third-party conference call providers and building our own infrastructure natively on AWS. We've achieved a 0.5% error rate. That's 6 to 8 times improvement over the industry average. No more static, no more third-party friction, no more third-party operators, right? These are Q4 trained operators, crystal clear audio that we control from end to end. And simultaneously, we're redefining CRM. And this one I'm personally most excited about. So on April 16th, it'll be generally available. And we're launching the market's first AI native CRM built exclusively on the Q4 platform. We know the old way of CRM data capture and multiple clicks and screens and having to learn how to operate tedious data hygiene and reporting is ultimately a drain on your time. So with AI native CRM integrated into the Q4 platform, it synthesizes your engagement history, ownership, contacts, market signals, industry information into a place that doesn't just store contacts, but becomes a system to prepare briefing books, NDRs, and can provide signals around your next big investor. So whether it's democratizing shareholder data for surveillance customers or ensuring your earnings call is flawless, this release is about giving you an edge in an increasingly complex market by leveraging AI. And we want to optimize for AI discovery and execute with confidence. So It's just super exciting to be able to walk you through the how and the why of these innovations. And I'm joined today, as I mentioned, by our product leadership team, who I'll transition this over to in a second. Just a few things I wanted to head off just administratively before we get going. You'll see the Q&A as part of this webinar. Please leverage that. Ask as many questions as you want. We'll try to get to as many as we can at the end of the call. If we don't, we'll reply directly via email towards you. Secondly, in order to keep this webinar kind of condensed, we've recorded a lot of the material, right? So the product managers will walk through and provide the demo and kind of do a voiceover over the actual live screen. They will have their screens available as well. So if a question comes up after the call, we can hop in real time. And then, you may hear references to potentially different packages. If you're unsure of what you do or don't have, please reach out to your account manager as it relates to the status of your subscriptions and what's included and what's not. So when there might be something that you might be getting today as a value add, there might be other things that you may have to purchase and buy up a package type to get a different subscription, and your account manager can handle that for you. So, without further ado, I will pass it off to Simone, who will kick things off for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Christopher, and welcome everyone to the webinar. I'm Simone Pereira. I'm a director of product at Q4, and I oversee our AI platform offering. I'm excited to take you through powerful new capabilities coming to your Q4 platform. As Christopher mentioned, the new relationship intelligence capabilities that I will be taking you through are coming out in April, but I wanted to give you a sneak peek into everything that we're building so that you can see why we're so excited about them. What you'll see are new ways to record investor interactions, create briefing books, and run analysis on your relationship ROI. So let's get started. So when I open up Q, you'll notice right away that the chat window is full screen. We've heard you loud and clear. There's more space to focus on your conversation with Q now. Let's say I have a meeting coming up on April 1 at 2 p.m. I'm going to ask Q to log that on my behalf. You can use your own words in your own natural language. It's easy, seamless, intuitive. Q might ask a few clarifying questions as it processes the information that you have provided it. Say you've just gotten off a call with a prospect or an email has popped in. With just one line, Q can take that information and log it for you. Q has now taken that simple ask and has opened up a canvas from where I can further refine the details. So here I can change the title, the date, the time. I can add attendees or remove them. So in this case, I'm adding James Allen into my meeting. And I can also add in tags. So if you are using tags to kind of make sure you're keeping track of the different meetings, that's all available to you on this screen. You can either work directly with the canvas or with Q to make the updates. Say I want to reference strategic material on this call and have it handy on the day. That could be previous reporting slides, material that is relevant to the call, or even just an agenda that is prepared in advance. I can simply ask you to add that material to the meeting notes, and that way, when I open up the notes later, I have that material ready for me to reference. In this example, I've asked you to save my meeting agenda to the record, and that way I expect it to show up on this canvas. I could also go directly into the canvas to add that material there on its own. We've heard from customers that they might want to add specific slides from their previous earnings calls or anything else. The flexibility is with you to add that material directly into your meeting notes. Now, something else that I'm very excited to showcase is the ability for Q to create meetings in bulk from a conference or a roadshow schedule. We know that this can often take hours to log. If you're on the road and you're meeting with 10, 15, 20 individuals, that's a lot of meetings and a lot of contacts to record. We want to take that effort off your plate. So simply attach your message and your file and send it to Q and ask Q to log those meetings for you. If you're someone who takes meetings notes offline, so say in a Word doc, in an email, or a spreadsheet, you can ask Q to create those notes directly from that material. It doesn't just need to be a conference or a roadshow schedule. Gone are the days of spending hours recreating schedules or meeting notes in your CRM. With AI, we're able to take that effort off your plate so that you can focus on what matters, which is leading the discussions and building the relationships. Now you'll see that at each step of this import process, I'm able to review the matches that Q has found. So I can add in my own selections, I can review what Q has found, or I can default to a custom. I can choose to change the contacts that it has provided as a match, search through the database, or just leave it as is because Q would have found the best match possible there. Q is assisting me, but I am in control of the data. With this summary here, I can see exactly what is being added into the platform. And once it is fully loaded in, I can click through to view the details of the event. So on this conference page, for instance, I can see the overview, the location information, and then line items for each of the meetings that I'm scheduled to attend. Now, after this, what typically happens is that you or a team member will create a briefing book for the conference. Briefing books can take hours to build and get just right, and we know that every team wants to do it their own way. We know that some teams like to add a full record of past interactions with the individual, LinkedIn profiles, ownership history, and even personal notes. The time that you spend building your briefing books can add up very quickly. With Q in the mix, we're adding more flexibility while saving you time, giving you more control over what data is pulled in and how that's laid out. So you get to choose what information is pulled into that briefing book, whether that's ownership data, past website and email engagements, or past meetings as well. Simply toggle on or off the sections that matter to you. All of this flexibility is built into this briefing book template over here. You can also review the list of profiles that are pulled into the book. So say you really want to focus on just one or two key members, you can simply choose to click X to remove those from the list. You can also choose to drag and drop to rearrange the order of the profiles. Once you're done, Q will take your instruction and prepare the material that will go into your briefing book. Now at this point, I'm going to switch gears slightly and show you how you can display some of this data on your dashboard. What I have here are a few examples of Q agents that I've created to help me showcase the ROI of the relationships that I'm investing in. With Q's expansive library, you can access agents to display your data to your needs. We have a host of agents that are already set up for you to choose from, or you can create your own. I'm going to quickly hop back into Q chat to see if my briefing book is completed. Now that the preview is ready, I can go in and edit any of this material. Again, I can choose to remove any of that, or I can review the profiles again, rearrange them, reorder them, and then I can choose to export. So I've gone from hours to minutes to get the output. One last thing I want to share while I have the mic is the availability of intra-quarter ownership data that comes in via our surveillance team. What this means is that now you can couple together intra-quarter ownership position changes with Q's intelligence to dive deeper into your shareholders, your targeting, and messaging. In this example, I've set up some mock data for Charles Schwab, and you can see once the response prints, there is the as of date that indicates the recency of the data, where it's coming in between that quarterly filings. And in the sourcing as well, it will show me that the data is coming in from surveillance. You can imagine now how much more powerful your analysis and reporting becomes with more timely position change data in the platform. So that's just a little bit, a little taste of some of the enhancements that are coming out and some that are already out in the platform. I hope you share in my excitement for the platform and everything that you're able to accomplish with it. Thank you very much for your time and your attention, and I'm happy to hand the mic over to my colleague, Marius.
Thank you, Simone. Great stuff coming. Hello, everyone. I am Mario Sorega. I'm a Director of Product Management for Q4 Platform and Data. And I'm going to walk you through the exciting outcomes that you can achieve using the Q4 offerings following our March release. I'm especially excited to show the investment made to help you deal with the fragmentation problem in the IR space. So we're going to focus on the expanded data and intelligence capabilities available in this release. And I want to stress that just as Simone said that the reporting is going to get very powerful, but I do want to stress that here at Q4 we continue to be committed fully to the security of your data and the security of all of your interactions with AI LLMs, right? Just to make that clear. Now, a company's financial health, profitability, and valuation are at the core of investment decisions. And with this latest release, we're giving you the right tools to turn data into compelling investor stories, and to do that right within the Q4 platform. You really don't need to go to multiple places to do that. So what we've done, we've embedded S&P fundamental ratios, GICS data, and other financial metrics directly into the Q4 platform. GICS stands for Global Industry Classification Standard data. I'm sure everyone is aware, but wanted to make sure. The aim with all of this is to provide you with intelligence organized around key IR needs, right? So benchmarking against peers, finding the right investors, identifying white space in your shareholder base, and really helping you build a narrative that lands. So let's go to the demo right now. And we'll start with looking at a benchmark scenario for company valuation against sector medians. I want to call out that I am using Visa as an example, but no actual sensitive information from Visa is being shared at all. This is all in a test environment. So what we're doing is really comparing growth, margins, and valuation for Visa to the median of their sector. And whether we use this type of analysis for board reporting or investor conversations, Q now enables you to establish where the company stands against sector industry medians on these metrics. And you can go deeper on benchmarking as well to understand if your company is trading at a premium or a discount versus peers. So in this particular scenario, we're looking at price to earnings, or looking at this ratio for MasterCard, Amex, and PayPal versus Visa. And you can see the output already on the screen. Or maybe you want to really perform a health check on your company's market narrative to see whether the company's valuation truly aligns with the stated story of growth, profitability, and competitive advantage. You can do that as well. I'd like now to move on to targeting, and I want to start identifying the most natural investors based on sector and basic fundamentals. So outreach really focuses on investors with a high propensity to buy. We're going to take into account price to earnings and enterprise value to revenue for Visa's peers, once again, MasterCard, Amex, and PayPal. And you will be able to actually filter down on funds whose mandates are naturally aligned to what your company looks like on paper. So you'll be able to ask Q to show funds that are investing in companies with a similar profile. And ultimately, the goal is finding those investors who already fully believe in the sector, but maybe are absent, maybe they're underweight when it comes to your own company. So those high propensity investors, the funds that are either underweight or overweight, and those opportunities that really will drive success for your strategic targeting. Funds most likely to increase positions. Funds that own your peers are underweight or absent in the name of your organization. And Q enables you to not only operate on the data, but on the same data that investors are using in order to evaluate your company, which I think it's really powerful. Okay, now we're gonna move onward to news enhancements, and if I think of all the times when I was chatting with customers about their struggle, again, fragmentation comes to mind. But when it comes down to what's really happening in your market, across your competitors, across your geography, what's the investor sentiment like? How is it evolving? And once again, very different in a multitude of sources of information and data. So what we've done here is really we upgraded your visibility, and what that translates to is a major expansion of North America and EMEA news coverage. And once again, all available in the Q4 platform. And you will be getting access to high quality, curated content. A list of over 335,000 news articles each year, covering approximately 50,000 global companies in total. Let's go to the demo now. Every piece of news, every piece of content is available through peer news. You just have to configure your peers accordingly in the platform. And you'll be able to access the full content of articles right within your account. Old school stuff, right? But I can also ask Q to extract the news that I want. I can even say, give me a list and include links for me to access them easily, rather than doing it the other way around. But I think where this is really powerful is that you will be able to use Q not just to access the news, but to run analysis on the articles available. And Q can read the content and come up with insights. And you can see it here where it analyzes the sentiment of BMW versus its peers. And to keep in mind, when it comes to analysis, Q gives you the opportunity to combine data from different data sets. So not just news, fundamentals, financial, gigs, even your own data. And once again, just to be clear, security always paramount to us. You are fully in control of your data. Nothing is shared with third parties. Your data is not used to train LLM models. Another scenario is the concerns from analysts. And you can see the output of that prompt here. But ultimately, what we invested in is making sure that across both North America and EMEA, you have your ear to the ground when it comes to what is being said, who's driving the narrative, and what matters most. Now, just before I hand it over to my colleague Schwein, I do want to talk about enterprise compliance and governance. This is increasingly a topic that's front of mind for every organization, security and compliance, and especially in investor relations. We're seeing this more and more every time I talk to customers. So you're handling sensitive market-moving information. It's only natural that this is a focus. We're launching two capabilities. We've already launched them. Two capabilities that really enhance your posture in a response to security requirements from compliance teams, from auditors. One of them is email-based two-factor authentication, which adds a layer, a verified second layer that stops account takeovers. We're coupling that with adaptive authentication. That means that this security layer is actually smart. It activates when the risk signal is there and stays out of the way when it isn't. This feature means you protect your sensitive data, you close the loop on access control, and you do it all without making your workflow or your team's workflow any harder. We've really invested in this balance. I want to stress that. With regular 2FA, when a user logs in, they always receive a second factor challenge, but for Q4 users, the system actually evaluates risks based on their devices, their location, their behavior. And it adapts the authentication process accordingly. So low risk, smooth access, no interference. High risk, added verification. We're not forcing friction. We're applying it when it matters. So the outcomes are that you meet compliance requirements, you protect against account takeovers, you benefit from access control, and you do it all delivering a great user experience. So to summarize, really enterprise-grade security that actually works in practice. Okay, I'm going to now thank everybody, and I'm going to hand it over to Shuai.
All right. Thank you, Marius, and good morning, everyone. My name is Shuai Zhong. I'm the Senior Director of Product Management here at Q4, and I oversee the suite of platform experiences that helps our clients manage all of their investor communications, whether it be via web, earnings events, or AI. Today, I'll be walking you through something we're certainly very excited about, which is Answer Engine Optimization, or AEO for IR Web. I'll be covering how investor research is changing in the overall capital markets industry, what it means to your IR team, and what we've built to make sure that your company's narrative and story continues to be the source of authority that is applied across all investor research channels, especially in the new world with AI. So let's start with what's happening in the market. We know from industry surveys that 50% of institutional investors are already using AI tools to conduct their research. 60% of these AI queries now end without any clicks or visits to the actual website itself. And that's a fundamental shift, not just in the world of, kind of the overall capital markets for how investors are researching, but more importantly, it introduces a new channel that IR teams now need to be aware of and to manage to make sure that the narrative that it so carefully crafts are being conveyed and communicated to the investors. Traditionally, your IR website has always been the place where you control that narrative. But if investors are now asking questions and getting answers through AI directly, the question now becomes, is AI telling the story that you've created through your narrative, or is it someone else's? And unfortunately, I think for many companies, they are starting to lose that control over the narrative. When investors ask AI platforms such as ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity about your company, AI cites whatever source that is most easily discoverable, not necessarily what is most accurate. And usually that's third-party editorials, news articles, analyst blog posts, not your IR website as the authoritative source of disclosure information. Your content is right. The problem isn't what you've published. It's that AI can't read it in a way that tells it that this is the authoritative source of information that it should use to generate all the answers. Let me show you what that looks like in practice. We've done a series of testing across hundreds of data points across multiple public companies. And this is an illustrative example from a real customer that we anonymized, but it's very representative across the kind of the trend that we're seeing across multiple companies. We asked AI a question like, why should I invest in this particular company? On the left-hand side here, you see what AI returned before AEO was implemented. The answer leads with a very vague margin expansion story, a reorg effort that's supposed to produce some certain savings, and it's based on some analyst opinion. And if you look at the sources that are actually cited by AI to generate this answer, it becomes clear that it's coming from stock analysis, Simply Wall Street blog posts, Morningstar DCF. 0% of the content was actually cited from the company's own sources. Nothing regarding its filings information, investor presentations, annual reports. Now, here's the same question with the same AI platform. And when we ask the question after AEO was implemented, the answer leads with revenue growth, tailwind, diverse revenue streams, valuable IP, experience with digital transformation, paints a very comprehensive growth story. And the reason this is more comprehensive and more accurate is because now, if we look at the sources that the AI used to cite and generate the answer, it's primarily coming from the company's own IR website, pointing to relevant information in investor presentations, annual reports, over the likes of Seeking Alpha and reputable news sources. Same company, same content, same AI. The only difference is that AEO made their content more discoverable, more citable to AI platforms, and the company didn't change anything about what they published. And I think the key question that the audience needs to ask here is, which version do you want investors seeing when they ask AI about your company? Now, how does AEO work? AEO essentially adds structured data into your website that AI can read, interpret, and cite. We oftentimes kind of put it into simple terms that explains that AEO essentially provides that translation layer between your content and AI. The content that you provide through your website stays the same. The experience for your investors when they navigate to your website stays the same. But AEO translates all the content into a structured format that's easily understandable by the AI platforms and making it a much more discoverable by AI. And the workflow for our clients is simple. You publish the content just as you would through your Q4 platform. You publish your press releases, team bios, events, FAQs, and we do all the work behind the scenes for you. AEO automatically gets applied to your website in the background, invisible to actual visitors, and AI then is able to pick up this structured data and cite your information a lot more prominently because now it understands that the content is relevant to your specific company and is relevant to specific type of investor questions. And it understands that this now is the authoritative source of information that it should go to cite information about your business. And this structured data automatically updates every time you make changes to your content, whether it be your executive team updates, whether it be new earnings reports. Everything happens seamlessly. No new tools, no additional effort by you or by a third-party support team, no maintenance required. Built directly into your IR website in an automated fashion. And one thing I also want to kind of emphasize here, this goes beyond just a specific part of your website. When we look at some of the competitor offerings out there, there's a strong emphasis on certain things like press release or one-time implementation for SEO or AEO to optimize for your experience through a one-time implementation. But I think the key difference is that the AEO for IR web solution that we offer is number one, comprehensive across your entire IR website. We've designed this AEO optimization to span across all the key sections of your content to make sure that whenever investors ask AI questions about your company, we're making sure that your site has the answers. You can see some of the examples on the screen here of the types of investor questions mapped to the areas of the websites that we optimize. The why should I invest question from the earlier example is just one of the many. Let me also share with you what we saw through testing to really validate how much impact this has produced. When we've tested this across multiple public companies, across all the different industries with multiple different type of market caps, we saw on average that AI citation rates improved by 20%. This means that AI is now pointing to the company's own kind of IR content a lot more frequently. And dominant response rate, meaning your site is now the number one cited source in AI answers, improved by 36%. And for companies that started with low AI visibility as a baseline, this is where we saw the most opportunity for improvement, with improvements up to 78%. To make this a little bit more concrete, where we saw the biggest gains is when we asked strategic content like we saw earlier. So when we ask questions like, why invest in the company? Many companies went from near zero visibility to 20 to 40% improvements in citation. And when we ask critical earnings related queries to the AI, one company went from 23% citation share to 63%. So that's almost a 174% improvement on a critical type of investment query for the company. These are real results from IR websites tested across all the major AI platforms. And this is overall showing a consistent trend for how much of an impact AEO can bring to your business. The results obviously will vary by company, but the impact is real. And again, we see that consistently across different industry verticals. Okay, now in terms of getting started, I think this is really the best part. AEO is now included for all IR web customers at no additional cost. So if you're a subscriber to our IR web product, this is either already live for you or it will be live for all of our web customers by April 1st. So if you have any questions, please reach out to your account managers to confirm. If you're curious, there's also ways for you to actually check whether AEO has been implemented for your website using tools like schema.org validator, which again, we can provide you further information on, and you'll see whether structured data has been properly applied to your website content. And one last thing, this is really just phase one of a long kind of journey and a series of product improvements that we're looking to roll out as we continue to build AI readiness capabilities into the platform, enhancing the overall investor experience we help our customers deliver. Investing in new capabilities that's designed to keep your disclosure at the center of how investors find and engage with accurate content about your company through AI. So more to come. That's it for AEO for IR Web. I'll now pass it over to Christopher.
Awesome. Thank you, Shuai. Let me get my video back up here. Perfect. All right. So thank you to Shuai, Marius, and Simone, and to all of you that hopped on. You can scan this QR code to dive deeper into these topics and then reach out to your account manager for additional information. We did have some questions come in throughout the course of the webinar, so I will start addressing those. One of the first ones I wanted to touch on that came in was regarding calculations. This is something that actually came up at a few conferences I've been speaking at. You know, a lot of you may be using Gemini, your corporate Gemini or your corporate Copilot, or maybe something that you've bought or brought in-house. What we've noticed over the past 2 years in building out AI is that you know, these models are called LLMs for a reason, right? Large language. They're not called large financial models. They are not natively good at performing mathematical calculations to the level, to the accuracy and consistency that you'd like to see. So if you are doing any analysis in those tools, I would just caution and double check that. We've taken strides to build on financial calculators, knowledge kits in concert with Q, our IRO agent. So we spend a lot of time, you know, getting the data is one thing, but having it to perform calculations is a different story. So Marius and team are resilient and exceptional at managing that. And we've built, over the past 2 years, an exceptional tool essentially to assist our agent in being able to deliver consistent and accurate results over time that we haven't seen. And we test this with, we're a Google shop. We test it with Gemini on a regular basis. So we see the inaccuracies that it can provide. So just a note on that as it relates to kind of the calculation accuracy. Another question, this would be for Simone, came in. Regarding the briefing book, can it be downloaded in Word or PDF? Can it then be edited once downloaded?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. So briefing books can be downloaded as PDFs. You are able to edit it via a native tool once it is downloaded as a PDF. But I would stress within the platform itself, you can always make the changes. You can reorder the sections, you can change the title, whatever it is, before you export. And you can always come back to that briefing book within the platform itself to make any additional edits and then download again.
Sounds good. The question on the AEO in terms of access came in, which I think I can handle. So it's a big topic for us this quarter, obviously, in addition to CRM and everything else you discussed. Product names don't matter, obviously, to you on the call. We understand that. But if you are in what we'll call a legacy product, so typically have the word studio in it, your account manager will discuss it. You will not have access to the AEO functionality. But those of you on Q4 IR web products, like Shuai mentioned, will have access as of 3/12. That has already been rolled out and put across your site. But reach out to your account manager for further information as it remains to that. So what other releases you should be aware of? Yeah, I think we talked about AEO, CRM, any releases anything else that we should be aware of. I don't know. The digital conferencing was something that we discussed earlier in the call. Trying if I'm going to provide any light on that. It's something that our customers on the call may already have had access to because it was something we've been bringing to our customers since late last fall and kind of officially released it. But anything you want to kind of shed on that? Just a few talking points there.
Yeah, I think well, definitely it's perhaps worth another session to go through in more detail, but this fundamentally brings a transformative experience to how we can help our customers deliver this flawless earnings experience. We've evaluated the entire kind of the experience when it comes to critical earnings calls, and as you mentioned earlier, Christopher, like consistently where we see the biggest failure points is when it comes to the actual execution of these events and when it's dependent on some of the third party kind of infrastructure and technology. We fundamentally changed that structure for our platform. We are now able to deliver a much more seamless experience for our customers using our latest technology as well as our professional kind of operations team that's trained on the IR events specifically. So again, seeing a massive kind of improvement in error rates, compared to some of the traditional offerings, and definitely something we're very excited to bring to more customers across the board.
Yeah. There's just a question on the AI native of the CRM and just kind of, just what other use cases have you seen now with AI being natively embedded in CRM? I'll speak to one, Simone. You can feel free to add another. One that I thought was interesting is just conference preparation. So might be working with corporate access team, say at TD Cowen or whoever, and just getting that list, uploading that list of potentially suggested conversations, and then what one client told us is that Q is able to analyze that, look through their historical CRM, look at the ownership history, look at the website engagement, website downloads, and ultimately provide suggestions based on organizations that didn't maybe fit the traditional investment profile, but had invested in similar companies and had showed interest in maybe prior calls or in website engagement or been attending earnings calls. So it just created maybe one or two additional meetings or suggested one or two additional meetings that they probably natively wouldn't have thought about, and they took that information, double clicked on it, did their own research, and thought, yeah, it'd be worth maybe brokering that call with that investor. So I thought that was one interesting use case. I don't know if Simone, another one you want to share.
Yeah, I love that. And I would say, like, even coupling that with the fundamentals data that's been added in kind of takes your targeting abilities that much further, right? Because you can kind of cross-reference the meeting notes, the activities that you are having with other profiles out there that potentially are a fit for you. I think some of the other ways that you can really use this is visualizing the return on investment for the relationships that you're building. We've heard from a lot of customers that, being able to show how the conversations you're having over time have helped influence the positions in your organization. Whether or not certain individuals coming in, so having your C-suite join in has changed things. Q has really great data visualization capabilities. So it's really, again, just putting in natural language and being able to kind of get that output to match your expectations. So I think once you get in there and you start kind of adding in your notes and you play around with it, you'll uncover a lot more use cases.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think that the part that I was most excited about when working with customers in advance of the release was that, just the white space of it is that you're essentially dealing with an agent and you can ask it anything you want. Anything you would dream of being able to report on, or any type of complex report you may have gotten a request from your CFO or CEO in advance of an NDR or in advance of whatever, and you'd have to go build that manually or rip down multiple reports and do VLOOKUPs in Excel. It does all that for you, right? The intersection of your engagement data, right? Website attendees, website downloads, your CRM data, your surveillance data, your earnings data. Did they attend? Did they not attend? Are they asking questions? What questions did they ask? Having all of that in one area and accessible on top of all of your historical notes and your CRM interactions over the past, it's kind of Pandora's box on where you want to go. And I think there's more to come on use cases that our customers will tell us that it's been able to unlock for them.
Absolutely. And I would just add in like the time savings, and we've kind of gone in and partnered with a bunch of customers to get them early access to this. And, something as simple as taking your conference or roadshow schedule, something that changes quite frequently right up until the day that you're engaging in that activity. You can just put it into queue, have it log those activities for you. That's time that you can then spend doing all of these other things that you mentioned, Christopher.
Yeah, sounds good. And Marius, one on data access for Q. A question has come in, and I think today we have the ability through a partnership with S&P, but it's not directly integrated at this point, but something we're looking at. Does Q have access to broker research?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, I would say indirectly it does. If it's already in the some of the sources of data and information that we have integrated with, but we are looking to grow the amount of content and the type of content. We do recognize that IROs monitor closely this type of content around broker research. So it's on our radar, so to speak. But currently, it's not available in a exhaustive manner.
Natively. Yeah, yeah. And just to double down on that question, Marius alluded to a lot of security today, and organizations have been trusting Q with their MNPI just from pure historical website postings for over 25 years. So we take this very seriously. And while you may go to a GPT or a 365, and that's pulling from the internet and getting kind of maybe abbreviated broker research or something better, we purposely chose not to connect to the internet. That may change, but for now we haven't. So because of that, we have to have very prescriptive data sets that we buy and we bring in that are closed off. We do that to protect the data that the client data. So that is an area we look to bring in. How or customers work with it today, though, is they'll import it themselves, right? You can BYOD. We're bring your own data. You can bring that into the Q platform, via email, via download, a PDF, whatever, and drop it in. It lives there. Going into a little bit ahead into our Q2 release, which will be in May. there will be functionality that further facilitates the ability to capture this information, short of having a direct, API access, in a more organized way that helps educate Q around your covering analysts, so on and so forth. But that'll be for the Q2 release. Okay. All right. So I think, let me see one more look at the Q&A. If the team wants to get started with some of these updates, so we can start using their upcoming earnings, what is the best way to get started? Reach out to your account manager. They'll be your best point of access. Obviously, your account manager or your CSM. When anyone who is on the Q4 platform has already gone through an extensive onboarding, but that may have been, a year ago, a year and a half ago. So feel free to reach out to your account manager. We can get you kind of another onboarding to kind of re-review the current state of play today. Listen, we're cognizant of it. AI is evolving very rapidly. I like to say it's evolving in the thousands of days. That's what Bill Gates tells me anyway, and I believe it. So we're going to continue to be rolling out stuff on a quarterly basis moving forward. We want to kind of organize our release schedule. So the next release will be in May, so on and so forth. So, we're going to take these moments to be very direct and purposeful in what we're communicating, and try to organize it in a way that's consumable. But to that end, if you want to take a time out and reset with your account manager and get reoriented, please do that. We encourage that. We understand it's moving very rapidly, and we want to ensure that you have, just full understanding of how to best leverage it, so your time to value is as short as possible. All right. So with that, I believe we can conclude the call. And I just thank everyone for joining us. This will be recorded. Please share this internally with other users at your organization. People that couldn't attend, obviously, will ensure it gets sent to them as well. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the week.